Hello, welcome. My name is Robert Denton. This is the 11th video in my series on high performance via using the subconscious brain. Now that may seem scary, and a lot of people are very, very frightened of talking about the mind, the brain, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, but they are facts of life. We depend on them, so you really ought to know what they are and what they do for you. Most people understand their conscious mind. They probably never think about it, but they understand this is where they think, this is where they decide what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. But ask them about their subconscious mind, and I very much doubt all but a tiny few will have a clue what it is or how it works. Well, let me tell you something. It is fascinating and staggering. And if you want to understand how the mind works, yes, that is very much like rocket science. But if you want to know how to use the subconscious mind, it ain't that difficult. The problem is discovering what it is and how it works, or how it works for us on a daily basis, and how we can use it to its maximum. Believe me, its maximum is enormous. Now, let's get down to some really nitty-gritty, fascinating and fun stuff. Now, most of you may not think the mind or the brain is fun, but when you get to understand how to use subconscious high performance on demand without stress, believe me, you'll realize it's fun. Now, I went through burnout, lost my companies, wrecked my life completely, and I was on my own. It was sort of around about 1987, 88. And where I was living in England, nobody knew. My doctor hadn't got a clue what burnout was. He just called it high stress. And when I talked about the symptoms I was suffering, he just thought I was making it all up. It's all stories. Well, of course, nowadays, a lot more is known about it, and a lot more is known about the huge amount of damage that is done by cortisol, which is called the stress hormone, and all the other things, and a very bizarre, funny thing called a want to but cannot syndrome. This is a syndrome that hits you when one has really done all the wrong things, and it's an internal protection system that prevents us from doing it all over again. Now, I wrote a book. I got myself, when I was sort of in burnout and I decided this is no good, my businesses were going to the wall and I was in a mess and no help other than being told to go and take a holiday. Well, okay, that's very nice, but didn't do a lot of good. So I decided I would study the brain, I would study burnout, I would study stress, cortisol, and all the rest of it. And I wrote a book. I wrote a book about my experience and what I did to get myself out of burnout and what I discovered. Now, this is high performance after burnout. Fix the stress before the damage is done. It's available at Amazon.com, except if you live in Switzerland, in which case the Swiss government regulations don't want you to have it through Amazon. So it's available at the Swiss publisher, First House Press. They've set up an email address, firsthousepress@gmail.com. You can contact them there, tell them what you want, and they'll give you the details and how to pay, and everything is hunky-dory. Their address is there. And plus the addresses of some of the previous videos that I made on this subject. Now, this is fun because if you want to be a high performer, if you are fascinating in high achievement, being one of the top dogs, and anything else like that, then you really got to know what your brain has got in store for you, because believe me, it is fascinating and it's not rocket science. It's easy to do and quick to do once you know how to do it. And that's the big trick. First of all, most people find it taboo to talk about the brain and the mind, the subconscious mind. I'm not talking about spirituality or any of that stuff. This is the brain. It's a machine. Okay. As far as the mind, the brain is a machine. The mind, the conscious and the subconscious minds are virtual brains. You can't see them; they exist, but they're there. They actually are the information that's flowing between the billions of brain cells that we have. So they're essentially the software. The brain is the hardware, like your computer, and the conscious and subconscious mind are the software programs. It's sort of essentially that. Now, okay, most of the time we work out of our conscious mind, or at school we learn to do everything via our conscious mind. There are some fascinating stories about people who are hugely dyslexic or were from childhood, yet they've become top people in their professions. One I read recently about a barrister. He was staggeringly dyslexic, and he discovered that if he talked to his subconscious mind and asked it to learn what he had to know, and what when he was in court for a client, he had partially memorized the whole thing. He couldn't read from documents, proofs of evidence, although they were written, and the judge and other people had them. But he would likely, because of his dyslexia, he would likely miss words, and it wouldn't come out terribly well. So he did it all by memory, but subconscious memory. Just a truly amazing guy. And he left it really to his subconscious. And when he learned how to do that, he just winged it, and beautifully, with no stress, because he had total faith in his subconscious mind. Now, there is an amazing case. Now, when I was coming out of burnout, I was studying neuroscience of the brain, the mind, the subconscious mind, and anything else I could related to them. And I began to realize that the whole deal is really of performance, high achievement, is about the subconscious mind. And if we can learn how to master it, give it instruction of what we want it to do and when and how, then really life becomes just staggeringly amazing and wonderful, and it can be huge fun designing and installing high performance subconscious mind programs. It's really great fun. And I mean that sincerely and seriously, because believe me, burnout is a disaster. Now, I actually benefited from burnout because in some senses, I lost my companies, and I lost a lot of my wealth and everything else, and many, many other things. However, I learned a huge amount about the mind, the brain, the conscious and the subconscious, and how to manage them. Now, I'm 76, so I'm not going to be managing anybody's companies now. So the best I can do is to share this information, this knowledge. And any of you who want to be high performers, any of you are interested in high achievement and being the top dogs, and the really the people who are in fact, the people who become mentors and motivate other people because of your achievements. And when you achieve high levels of achievement, then it's just fascinating and amazing. If you don't want to, if you just want to muddle along in your happy little life, that's fine, that's okay. You don't need to watch this video because it isn't going to do you any good, so don't watch it. But for those who do, you'll find in my book High Performance After Burnout, available at Amazon or from firsthousepress@gmail.com if you happen to live in Switzerland. Now, the message is really fix the stress before the damage is done. And then, well, once you actually, in fixing the stress, you learn how to achieve high performance. Fixing your stress is high performance. Being cool, being the cool guy or gal is really cool, because you are really in control and in charge and have the potential to wow everybody whenever you want to. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Register if you want to, and or if you want to be notified of the next video. And I will be talking more about this and how high performance programs are created and how they're installed. And it's quite a natural thing. It's absolutely natural. We do it all the time. It's how you tie your shoes, or it's how you get dressed in the morning. It's how you it's how your heart pumps. It's how your digestion works. It's how everything you do without thinking about it works. And if you think about that, the body is the most amazing machine, and it works without you thinking about it and telling it what to do and how to do it. If you did, you would muck it up completely. And that is the power and the essence of what a subconscious mind high performance really is all about. You don't have to understand how the body works. You don't have to understand the rocket science of how the brain is made and how it works. No, you just have to understand how to write a subconscious mind, high performance, no stress program, and how to install it into your subconscious mind or into your brain via the subconscious mind. So it works automatically. Once you give it the triggering mechanism to fire up any particular program, you don't have to think about it. In fact, the less you think about it, the better, because if you start using your conscious mind while your subconscious mind is trying to do high performance, you'll probably muck it all up. And that's the whole thing. This is why I say, well, actually, that's what poor health is about. And largely it's too much alcohol, too much smoking, too much junk food. And that's how we muck up the body. And that's how we lead to high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, obesity, and all sorts of things. Cut out that interference, and the body can do it all on its own far, far better. And that's what high performance through the subconscious mind is really all about. So this is the end of this video. Register, if you will, for the next one. And this is Robert Denton signing off.